The alarm on my wrist device buzzed so hard it felt like my bone was vibrating, and I woke up with my heart already racing before my eyes were fully open. The ship was shaking, not the gentle hum I was used to during standard flight, but a hard, grinding shudder that rattled the metal walls of my small cabin. I grabbed the edge of my bunk and pulled myself up, my breath catching in my throat. My name is Daniel Cole, and I was the only human technician on board a research outpost that had been quietly studying a massive alien vessel parked just outside our solar system for the past 2 months. That morning, everything changed in a matter of seconds. A voice came through the intercom, calm but urgent. It was Captain Ellis, my supervisor, and her tone told me this was not a drill. "Daniel, get to the control deck immediately. We have a situation." I did not wait to change out of my sleep clothes. I ran, my bare feet slapping against the cold floor, my mind spinning with a dozen terrifying possibilities. When I reached the control deck, the air felt thick with tension. Screens flickered with data streams I could barely understand, and through the large window at the front of the room, I saw it. The alien vessel, which had been silent and still for weeks, was now glowing with a deep golden light along its hull, and it was moving, fast, directly toward our outpost. "Brace for impact," someone shouted, and I dropped to the floor instinctively, covering my head. The entire station lurched violently, sending loose equipment flying across the room. Sparks burst from a control panel near me, and the lights flickered before dying completely, leaving us in emergency red lighting. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then Captain Ellis's voice cut through the darkness, steady despite everything. "Report, now." One of the engineers, a young man named Oliver, scrambled to a backup console and started typing frantically. "Hull breach in Section 4, he said, his voice shaking. "We are losing pressure. If we do not seal it in the next 2 minutes, we lose that entire section." I did not think. I just moved. Section 4 was where the emergency suits were stored, and if that area depressurized fully, we would lose our only way to survive outside the main hull if things got worse. I sprinted down the corridor, alarms screaming around me, red lights pulsing like a heartbeat. When I reached Section 4, I saw the damage immediately. A jagged tear ran along the ceiling, and air was rushing out through it with a horrible whistling sound. I grabbed the emergency sealant canister from the wall and began spraying it across the crack, my hands trembling but steady enough to do the job. The foam expanded and hardened almost instantly, and slowly, the whistling sound faded. I pressed my hand against the wall, catching my breath, when a shadow moved behind me. I spun around, expecting another crew member, but instead I found myself staring at something I had never seen before. She stood almost 7 feet tall, her skin a deep shade of violet that seemed to shimmer faintly under the emergency lighting. Her eyes were large, silver, and strangely calm despite the chaos around us. She wore no visible weapon, no armor, just a smooth garment that looked woven from something like liquid metal. I stumbled back, my hand instinctively reaching for anything I could use to defend myself, but she raised both hands slowly, palms open, in a gesture that felt oddly familiar, almost human. "I mean no harm," she said. Her voice was smooth, layered, like 2 tones speaking at once. "My ship detected a fracture in your station, caused by an unstable energy field outside your system. I came to warn you, but your defenses activated before I could explain." My mind raced. That explained the vessel's sudden approach, but it did not explain why she was standing in front of me, alone, inside our station. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice barely steady. "How did you get in here?" "I am Vesa," she said simply. "I came through your damaged hull before your system sealed it. I did not intend to frighten you. I intended to help." Before I could respond, Captain Ellis's voice crackled through my earpiece, tense and sharp. "Daniel, report your status. Section 4 secure." I looked at Vesa, unsure what to say, but she nodded slightly, as if giving me permission to speak freely. "Section 4 is sealed," I said into my earpiece. "But we have a visitor. She says she is here to help." There was a long pause before the captain replied. "Bring her to the control deck, carefully." Vesa walked beside me through the corridor, her steps light despite her height, and I noticed the other crew members freezing in place as we passed, their eyes wide with a mixture of fear and disbelief. When we reached the control deck, Captain Ellis stood waiting, her posture rigid, her hand resting near the emergency weapon locker, though she did not open it. "Explain yourself," Ellis said firmly. "Why is your ship here, and why did it strike our station?" Vesa remained calm, her silver eyes steady. "My ship did not strike your station. An unstable pocket of energy exists just beyond your outer sensors, invisible to your current technology. It has been growing for weeks. My vessel moved to intercept its path before it reached you, but the shift in gravity caused turbulence that damaged your outer hull. I came aboard through the breach to explain before your instruments misread the situation as an attack. The room fell silent. I could see the tension in Ellis's shoulders slowly begin to ease, though her caution remained. "Why would your people care about protecting us?" she asked. "We have had no contact with your kind before this moment." Vessa's expression softened slightly, and for the first time, I saw something that looked almost like sadness in her eyes. "We have watched your species for a long time," she said. "From a distance, quietly, without interference. Your history is filled with conflict, yet also with remarkable resilience. You rebuild what is destroyed. You continue after loss. My people find this quality rare among the civilizations we have observed." Oliver, the young engineer, stepped forward hesitantly. "If your ship saved us from that energy field, why did the impact still damage us this badly?" "Because I acted alone," Vessa said. "My people do not yet approve open contact with your species. I made the choice without their consent. I could not stop the turbulence entirely, but I prevented something far worse." Her words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. She had risked something by coming here. That much was clear. Over the next several hours, the crew worked to stabilize the station while Vessa remained on the control deck, answering questions carefully, though I noticed she often looked toward me, as if she found something reassuring in my presence. I did not understand why at first. Later that night, after most of the crew had returned to their quarters to rest, I found myself back in Section 4, running a final check on the sealant. The corridor was quiet, the emergency lights replaced with standard lighting, giving the space a calmer atmosphere. I heard soft footsteps behind me and turned to see Vessa standing there, watching me work. "You did not hesitate," she said quietly. "When the breach happened, you ran toward the danger instead of away from it." I shrugged, trying to keep my tone light despite the exhaustion settling into my bones. "Someone had to fix it. I was close, so I went." "Your captain told me you have done this before," she said. "Twice, in situations far more dangerous than tonight. Why do you continue to place yourself in harm's way for others?" I thought about the question for a moment before answering honestly. "Because if I do not act, someone else might get hurt. I would rather take the risk myself than watch that happen." Vessa studied me for a long moment, her silver eyes unreadable. Then she spoke again, her voice softer than before. "Among my people, courage is honored above all other qualities. It is rare to witness it expressed so freely, without hesitation or expectation of reward. I find myself drawn to understand more about you, Daniel Cole." Something in the way she said my name made my chest tighten, though I could not quite explain why. Before I could respond, the ship's intercom crackled to life, and Captain Ellis's voice filled the corridor. "All personnel, report to the control deck immediately. We have a new development." Vessa and I exchanged a glance before hurrying back through the corridors. When we arrived, the mood in the room had shifted entirely. The main screen displayed a new image, a massive shape forming just beyond the edge of our sensors, larger than anything I had seen before, pulsing with unstable energy, exactly as Vessa had described. "It is growing faster than expected," Vessa said, her calm demeanor cracking slightly for the first time. "If it destabilizes fully, the resulting shockwave could reach your station within the hour." "Can your ship stop it?" Ellis asked. "Not alone," Vessa replied, "but if your station's systems combine with mine, we may be able to redirect the energy before it collapses." The room erupted into motion, engineers rushing to their stations, voices overlapping as plans were formed and discarded within seconds. I stood frozen for a moment, overwhelmed by the sheer speed of everything happening around me, until Vessa's hand rested gently on my shoulder. "I need someone who understands both systems to help guide the connection," she said. "Someone steady, someone who will not hesitate." I looked at her, then at the chaos unfolding around us, and I felt something settle inside me despite the fear. "Tell me what to do," I said. For the next 20 minutes, I worked alongside Vessa, following her instructions precisely as she guided the station's power systems to merge with a signal from her ship. My hands moved across the console with a focus I did not know I possessed, every second stretching painfully as the energy field outside grew brighter, more violent, threatening to tear itself apart. "Now," Vessa said sharply. "Activate the connection now." I slammed my palm against the final control, and the entire station shuddered as a wave of light shot outward from our hull, meeting the unstable field head-on. For a moment, everything went white, and I could not tell if we had succeeded or failed. Then, slowly, the light faded, and the massive shape beyond our sensors dissolved into nothing, leaving only calm, empty space. The control deck erupted into relieved cheers, crew members embracing each other, tension breaking into exhausted laughter. I stood still, catching my breath, when Vesa turned to face me, her silver eyes bright with something I had not seen in her before. "You did not hesitate," she said again, softer this time, even when the outcome was uncertain. I managed a tired smile. "I trusted you." She studied me for a long moment, and in that silence, I felt a strange connection form between us, one built not from words but from the trust we had shared in those final desperate minutes. In the days that followed, Vesa remained aboard the station while her people negotiated open contact with our leaders, a process that would take time, but had finally begun because of what she had risked that night. She spent much of her time near me, asking questions about human customs, human choices, human bonds, always listening carefully to my answers. One evening, as we stood together near the observation window, watching the stars stretch endlessly before us, she turned to me with a quiet curiosity in her eyes. "Daniel," she said gently, "on your world, when two people wish to build a life together, what is it that binds them?" I smiled, thinking of everything we had been through together in such a short time. "Trust," I said. "Choice. Standing beside each other, even when things get difficult." She nodded slowly, as if committing the words to memory, and for the first time since I had met her, I saw something like hope shining in her silver eyes. "Then perhaps," she said softly, "I would like to learn how that is done."